I, for one, am shocked that having a criminally insane convicted felon serving as the President of the United States has resulted in the President of the United States going completely insane since taking office. But something in particular happened over the last 3 days. We have seen a far more unhinged and delirious and, of course, disconnected from reality version of Donald Trump than we've ever seen. Something has gotten so much worse inside of his head. And this is a head that, as I've said, I firmly believe he is suffering from the beginning stages of dementia. I do believe he has possibly other neurological diseases, as well as countless mental illnesses, psychological problems, neurological problems. He's got them all, I believe. And of course, so do mental health professionals. But we saw a big turn this past weekend that should concern even the people who have defended this man's cognitive functioning. Here is one of the things that happened. And of course, this was all over the headlines on Monday, but Donald Trump went out angry at Bruce Springsteen because Springsteen has been criticizing Donald Trump while he's on his UK tour. And so now Trump wants Springsteen and Oprah and Bono and Beyonce criminally investigated for a potential pay-to-play scheme with former Vice President Kamala Harris. Here is what this deranged mental patient put on Truth Social this weekend. How much did Kamala Harris pay Bruce Springsteen for his poor performance during her campaign for president? Why did he accept that money if he is such a fan of hers? Isn't that a major and illegal campaign contribution? What about Beyonce? And how much went to Oprah and Bono? I am going to call for a major investigation into this matter. Candidates aren't allowed to pay for endorsements, which is what Kamala did under the guise of paying for entertainment. In addition, this was a very expensive and desperate effort to artificially build up her sparse crowds. It's not legal! For these unpatriotic entertainers, this was just a corrupt and unlawful way to capitalize on a broken system. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Followed by his usual 3 exclamation points because he likes to do it in 3s, I guess. That's not a symptom of any kind of, possible neurological thing, right? Little OCD on that. But here's the thing. A campaign paying a performer to come and perform at any of their events is 100% legal. It's not illegal. You can do that. Hell, Trump's done that, right? I mean, he's had has-been musicians come and play at his events. So if you're going to investigate her for it, shouldn't you also be investigated, right? Now, you did it during the campaign. You did it at the RNC. How much did Hulk Hogan get paid to come out and endorse Donald Trump? I don't see anybody whining and bitching about that because nobody cares. In fact, the only person who cares is you, Donald, because you had your little feelings hurt because Bruce Springsteen was real mean to you in the UK. That made you sad. And you don't know how to process those big emotions you're feeling. So it comes out as, I'm going to abuse my power to punish these people who did nothing wrong. Because that's something a totally sane person does, right? No, it's not. I shouldn't have to answer that rhetorical, but just in case any MAGA stumble upon this, want to let you know, that's not okay. That's what dictators do. He then, at another point over the weekend, retruthed, which means reposted, a photo from another user on Truth Social that actually contained a photograph of Donald Trump sitting in the Oval Office with Barack Obama during the first transition from his first administration. And the caption on the photo said, "All roads lead to Obama. Read truth if you want public military tribunals." That was it. There was no further context as to which roads we're talking about, but this post that the President of the United States reposted said, all roads lead to Obama. Read truth if you want military tribunals. Now look, if you're going to call for the prosecution of a former president of the United States, you got to provide a little bit of context, right? Like, give us something. All roads? Okay, well, what does that mean? Does that mean that Obama is the epicenter, the heart of the United States itself? All roads lead back to Obama. I mean, if so, that's kind of a sweet and sentimental way to put things, right? It almost sounds like a nice message. All roads lead to Obama. Back when things were better, the economy was doing better. People weren't as hateful. Yeah, they were. But you know what I mean? Like, it could be taken as like a heartfelt message. It could also be taken as something that someone who is cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs would post on social media, and then somebody who's even crazier than that would repost, like Trump did. He also reposted an AI-generated image of himself draped in the American flag that said, "We are taking back our great country." Look, here's the point. All of these meltdowns he had over the weekend, and this is just a couple. This is a small sliver of the numerous meltdowns that this man suffered over the weekend. And it all points to somebody who is mentally unwell, a man that has completely lost his grasp on reality because he is a scared little rat that is backed into a corner. The public hates everything he has done. I've talked about those poll numbers repeatedly, including earlier today. Public hates him. His tariffs are doing everything he feared and none of the things that he promised. The public is rejecting him on that. Other countries are rejecting any so-called trade deals, and they're undermining him at every turn. Vladimir Putin has repeatedly made a fool of him. His son's going around getting $2 billion investments here and there from Arab countries into their own company is causing a lot of backlash. He's mad that he can't take that Qatar bribe plane that's been sitting unsold for 5 years because it's a hunk of junk. He's mad about everything. And when he gets angry like this, his mind ceases to work properly. We saw it from the stress that came from his criminal trial. His posts on social media became even more unhinged at that time. We have seen this pattern throughout, back when the indictments would come down, he would get crazier. His posts would become less coherent. This happens to Donald Trump in times of increased stress. But the stress shouldn't be that bad right now. And I know that sounds weird because he is the president of the United States. But back then, when he had these stressful times that turned his brain to goo, it was, okay, you're being indicted, there's a threat of jail. Okay, you're at a criminal trial, there's a threat of jail for the rest of your life. You get convicted. That is a huge threat to your personal freedom. You get, lose the civil trial. You lose the E. Jean Carroll trial. All those times, again, his brain goes to mush. But right now, he's not in any fear of going to jail. He's not in any danger of really anything, other than the public hates me and I look like a damn fool. It used to be that stress like that did not necessarily evoke this strong of a reaction from him, but now it does, because his mental state continues to deteriorate over the years. So now it's this little bitty level of stress that he could choose to ignore. He couldn't ignore the other things, the indictments, the trials, and all that, but he could ignore the polls. He could ignore the negative press. He chooses not to, and now it's at the point where it can make him quite literally go crazy for days on end, because he is becoming more unhinged and more untethered from reality. Thanks for watching today, everybody. And don't forget, if you're not already, please do subscribe to this channel. We have fresh content going up every single day, and I would really hate for you to miss out on that. And speaking of missing out, if you're not following me across all other social media outlets, then get on it. You can follow the links in the description of this video.